Hey guys, welcome back to part 6 of the series of 7 videos on how to design the gmail.com landing page. We're towards the end. Our web page has come along brilliantly. It looks beautiful, looks almost like the real thing. But there's one key component missing. Okay, a lot of these big websites, they look spectacular no matter where you're watching them. You can watch them on your phone, on a tablet, on a big 24-inch monitor, and somehow the website looks beautiful all across. The images are not stretched, the text is clear and crisp, and I don't know, there's like a nice flow to the elements. That is the little bit of magic sauce that we are lacking in our project, which we will fix in this video, where we make our landing page responsive, just like the gmail.com landing pages. Alright, with this video you'll be able to pick up skills about responsive web design, at least the basics of responsive web design. Again, something that's going to really stand out in your resume. It's a great mini project to put on your resume, guys. It shows an interviewer that you already know the fundamentals of web development. They'll be more than happy to give you another chance. In the interview you'll score some more points, right? So go ahead, code along with us. If you like what we're doing here, like the video, share it, subscribe to our channel, and come join the Edyst Webmaster Bootcamp if you haven't already. The code for this entire project is available on there. We've done 5 more parts of this, so if you haven't checked out the earlier videos, please feel free to pause this video and go ahead and check out the playlist of videos that we've created so far for this web masterclass mini project. Code along with us, guys. All right, the payoff is going to be huge. All right, you'll have a great web project to put on your resume, and I think that's a great payoff for about 3 hours of work in total. Hope you're excited about making your landing page responsive, so that when your friends or your family or your recruiter, anybody looks at your web page, no matter which device they're looking on, it's going to look kick-ass. Alright, I hope you're excited. I know I'm excited. So let's get to writing some code. They are slightly better. They fine-tuned a little bit on the padding. Okay, our padding isn't that great. I think at some point we put in like a 2% padding or something, right? I think 2.5%. No, it might be what they had. I'm just trying to make it as similar as possible. Yeah, this I think is as similar as theirs, right? So that's 2.6 or something. Yeah, I think this is mostly it. This is theirs. This is ours. Uh, if we had the right font, this would look much better, okay, than this. And on tablets, also this looks very well, okay. But if you stretch it, not really. It doesn't look that good. And there's a reason why it doesn't look that good. It's because you have so much space over here, but you're not really doing anything with that space, right? What are you doing with that space? You could have added another section here, which is what, see, the actual Gmail thing, okay? You'll notice that when there is a lot of horizontal space, they actually end up arranging the two things side by side, okay? We do not do that. So, ours is going to look a little bad um, when there's a lot of sort of, there's a lot of space on the sides. Okay, so we need to fix that. And the way we'll do that is by making our web page responsive. Okay, what does responsive mean? Responsive basically means that on mobile or so okay, not on mobile. So basically, depending on the amount of width available, okay, I want to apply a different set of CSS rules. That's pretty much what it means. Okay, for instance, something as simple as uh, let's see how we can do this. So I want to have so when there's a lot of space, okay. Let's pick one thing and let's do that. So let's pick this thing here, okay. So when there is a lot of space, I want my items to come in this sort of a grid, right? This text here, and then this item here, okay. Whereas when it's much smaller, I just want them to come in, column manner. Okay, I don't want them to come in in one column. Otherwise, I want them to come in two different columns, right? That's the idea. So if we are here, okay, my job is to, first of all, the text has to be much bigger. Okay, when there's a lot more width, the text has to be a lot bigger. The paragraph text is also not 14 pixels anymore. Okay, the paragraph text will also now need to increase, because on mobile 14 was perfectly fine, uh, but here it's not good, right? So what do we go ahead and do in that case? We could do something like, um, let's see. So I'm going to say at media, okay, and here you can say stuff like, you know what, if the minimum width of the screen is 900 pixels, okay, some basic width, okay, if it's more than that, then I want my, my root font size to be 16 pixels. Okay, so as long as I'm within 900, you put it to 14 pixels, no issues. But the minute I go to greater than 900 pixels, one second, and make an error with the query itself. Okay, so over here the H1 has to be of a particular font size. Yeah, now notice what I meant. Okay, so now if you make the screen much smaller, okay, focus on the paragraph for now. All right, so if you make the screen much smaller, what's going to happen is you'll be stuck at 14 pixels, okay, which is what these guys also have. Um, this is exactly what these guys have, right? I think it's with 800. And the minute you start going more than 800, okay, you see that the size of this increase. You also need to increase the size of this guy, okay, not just increase the size. All right, we need to, one second, we need to kind of arrange it in a different manner altogether. Okay, this section can't look like this anymore. Okay, it has to look like a different section. Okay, so one thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to add two classes. Okay, so the first class is called mobile, okay, which means on mobile I want this section to show, and the second class is called desktop. All right, so for mobile I'll initially set display, um, or actually, you know what, let me do it here. So I can say display none, um, and sorry. So let's make two classes. So the general idea, guys, is what I'm going to do is, uh, instead of trying to do some really complex stuff, what I'll do is I'll design two hero sections. Okay, and depending on the width of the screen, I will show one of them and I will hide the other one of them. Okay, so what I mean to say is, this is my hero section, right? Over here I could just go ahead, and I'm keeping this really simple so that you guys can follow. Okay, uh, there are other ways of doing this as well. Okay, so what we could have done here is, I'm going to make one for the desktop and I'm going to make one section for mobile. Okay, and in desktop what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to wrap this inside like, content. Okay, and then you can have an image over there, no problem. So you see that there are now, there will now be two sections, right? So there's get more done with Gmail, and then there's this get more done with Gmail, right? And what I want to do is basically if it's a desktop section, right? So where's my hero section? Okay, so I could do something like this. So I could say hero section. If you are on desktop, okay, then set your display as grid. Okay, give me two columns, okay, of say equal width. You see what's happening here? This is the mobile section. Okay, so only the mobile section styles are applying to this, which is what we did before. Okay, so on mobile it looks nice and good here. On desktop, however, okay, I want my stuff to start looking like this, okay, and not like this. Okay, I wanted to start looking like this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'll design for both of them, okay, and then depending on the width of the screen, I'm only going to show one of them. Okay, that's the idea. All right. So we have this. Both of them have to be left aligned. Okay, especially when it's on desktop. So if it is on desktop and then I have a heading H1, then you know what, text align left. All right. So my mobile doesn't get affected, only my desktop thing gets affected. Similarly, I could do this for the paragraph as well. Okay. My paragraph also should be left aligned. The font size for my heading can be much bigger, right? So I probably put it at something like say 48 pixels. It's actually more than 48 pixels. It's a lot more than 48. Um, and 56 probably. Again, the only reason this is looking bad is because you're trying to render a desktop thing on a mobile view, okay, which is not what you should be doing, right? But if you have enough space, notice what's happening. So you have this section come side by side, right? And similarly, you can go ahead and you can adjust the spacing, you can adjust the distance between the buttons. Okay, you can do all of that, making sure you only apply it to the hero section desktop. Okay, uh, you're going to do the same thing to the rest of the elements as well. All right, so I just want to make sure that I do it well, and then we can kind of wrap this up. So you'll notice that here it's not get Gmail, it's actually a button called create account. Okay, and then there's a lot more spacing between um, you know these two guys. So let's see, where's my grid? I made both of them take up equal amount of space. I'm just going to add a bit of margin bottom. Okay, just so that this and this are separated by a lot more. My H1, I'm going to decrease the line height when it's on desktop. Okay, line height is much smaller. Probably increase the line height for paragraph. And then also give like a margin bottom to the paragraph, right? So let's say another 40 pixels. 48 to be consistent. And then finally this. So you can have .btn. And for this button, you will say that, you know what, the width is automatic. You don't want it to have, you don't want it to stretch this much. What you probably say is Okay, let's see. This can be interesting. So we'll make the hero section desktop. There's a content section here, right? That's what we wrapped both of these into, the H1 and the P. Okay, this get Gmail has to come inside here. Okay, yeah. Now it's much better. That it's a much bigger button to start with. Okay, so let's go ahead and for the button, I just want to make it much bigger. Okay, um, don't really care about margin bottom for now. I care about is the line height has to be let's say 64 pixels, and the font size has to be something like 32 pixels. Oops, way too big. 16 is still better. Okay, um, it's not the best. We just added a bit more padding. Okay, you need to keep experimenting with the right amount of padding. Okay, make it come as close to what Google has. Okay, so this I think is kind of all right. This much padding. You have your image over here. Um, we are this pretty good. Let's see. Let's put this here. The image, right? So for this image, all I want is that the width should be 100%. Okay, I want it to take up as much space as it can. Like it's taking up here. Okay, here it's obviously a much bigger image. So let's just copy the image address. Okay, this image is much bigger. The one that you have on the desktop, right? That is a much bigger image. So that you'll have to go and fix over here. Okay, in this section desktop. Okay, that's where we'll go ahead and we'll fix the image. So there you go. For some reason, I don't know, is there a lot of space on the sides of the image? I don't think so. Okay, but for some reason it's like really small here. So one thing we can do is we can give this image a negative margin. Okay, so something like minus, just to kind of help it grow a little bigger. Okay, clearly that isn't working. Something like say 30 pixels. Yeah, I just want this thing to be a little bigger, but again, that's fine. That um, we can sort out in just a bit. Wait, are we editing the right one? Yeah, I suppose I don't even need this negative margin, right? This is with this 130%. Yeah, this works. The only problem is again, guys, it's going to overflow here, right? Which is what you don't want. So that's all right. You can choose a better image than what Google gave us, basically. Okay. Otherwise, this is fine. The problem is I am getting both mobile and desktop at the same time, right? And that's what I don't want. So what I'm going to say is, by default, I never want to display my desktop. Anything that has a desktop class to it, okay, I never want to display. Um, so let's see if it gets overridden somewhere. So let's not have these complex selectors. Otherwise, we're going to die. So I'm going to make it like really simple. Let me just change the class name. What I basically meant was I'll do something like this. Okay, and I'll say desktop only, and this section I'll say mobile only. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, by default, anything that comes as desktop only, okay, I don't want to see it on the screen, and anything that comes as mobile only is what I want to see by default. Okay, so I'm going to put it right at the very bottom here. Okay, and now you notice that, because my desktop only class is now empty. I mean, I basically said that, no matter what happens, desktop should always be none. Okay, which is a bad thing to do, right? We shouldn't do that. So instead, what we can do is we could say something like media min width. We'll add another media query over here. Okay, we're going to say that if the minimum width is 800 pixels, okay, then what I want to do is I want to switch both of these um, over. Okay, so I would want to say something like uh, display should be, say, block. Okay, and mobile, on the other hand, the display should be none. When it's lesser than 800 pixels, I only see mobile, whereas more than that, I'm going to see this, right? um, I'm just going to make it a little more obvious. So the display should be set to, okay. So now see what happens. When the minimum width is 800 pixels, I'm saying that anything that has a mobile only display, mobile only class, you got to make that disappear, okay. Make it disappear when the minimum width is greater than 800, and when it's less than 800, make the desktop fellow disappear. Okay, so that's the trick. That's the trick over here. Um, so when it's mobile, you make something else disappear. When it's desktop, you make the other one disappear. Right? When you cross a certain threshold. Similarly, you notice it's the same for this nav bar, right? This is like a two-tiered nav bar. Works very well when you're on mobile. Okay, so on mobile this works very well. But suppose I don't want this. Okay, suppose I wanted to make another header, which is like a, so it's a very simple header, so to speak. Okay, it's this guy, and what I can say is this is a mobile only header. Okay, and this guy will be a desktop only header. Right, you'll have mobile only, here you'll have desktop only. Um, and the minute I start doing that, you'll realize that there's going to be a bit of an issue. Um, let's uncomment our navbar for now. Let's not make it fixed. Okay, so let's see, this is your header, and oh, okay, so this is for now, this desktop only. Let's not keep it that way. So you'll notice that now I have two nav bars, right? I want to design the second nav bar for my desktop. Okay, so I'll call it header desktop, and then I'll set it to desktop only. Okay, and here I don't want many different nav bars. Okay, I just want one nav bar, so to speak. And when it's much taller, right, sorry, much wider, I want this for work, sign in, and then the button. So this for work, sign in, and then the button, right? So the way that I'm going to do that here is get Gmail has to come here, and the MR auto thing, okay, is going to go, there you go. Okay, this is what we wanted on desktop. Okay, which basically means over here. Okay, in the header desktop, basically whenever the minimum width is greater than 800 pixels, um, this is what I wanted to do, right? So any links I want them to have like a margin left of I don't know, some 20 pixels. So just give some spacing between these guys, right? And my header desktop button, okay, I wanted to have a slightly greater line height. So something like 48 pixels is good. My header desktop itself, I wanted to be a little bigger. Okay, so the height is going to be something like say 64 pixels. Okay, instead of yeah, so it's going to look like that. And I don't want it to be fixed or anything. Okay, so we have like a mobile header, and now we have a desktop header, right? This is our desktop header. Okay, all we need to do now is we need to make the desktop header desktop only. Okay, and we need to make our original header, okay, mobile only. All right, now what does that mean? So when you scroll in here, so when it's a smaller width, okay, this is all that you will see. Similarly, this clear over here becomes, you know what, we can have just one clear. We don't really need two of them. Okay, so I'm saying we have one header for mobile, for which I am going to write all of my um, yeah. So I'll just say header mobile. Okay, uh, and when the mobile header is there, then it's going to have this sort of a thing, right? Similarly, for the desktop, what I'm going to do, I'm going to make another similar class over here. I'll just say desktop. This would be 64 pixels, and yeah, that's about it. So when I scroll past, see, this is what happens. So when it's greater than 800, only the desktop guy shows up. All right. When it is lesser than 800, the mobile navbar shows up. And this div class clear, right? I think we removed the position as fixed. So we're going to go ahead and add fixed over there. And similarly, uh, okay, so we need to add it to our header, the header itself. Okay, so let's see. So header desktop should have a fixed position. Header mobile should have a fixed position. And yeah, there you go. We have this, and when you kind of scroll, you have that. Cool, na? It can seem like we're writing a lot of extra CSS here, okay? But this is what I thought would be the simplest way to get you to understand how to do responsive design, okay? Obviously, you can be a lot cleverer in the sense that, you don't have to repeat the HTML again and again, okay? But it'll be slightly more complex to kind of show you how that works, okay? Making it done with just one header over here, okay, it can get a little tricky to show you guys how to do that. So which is why I decided, let's duplicate our HTML, okay, just that we'll toggle the visibility, okay. So if it's less than 800, we'll make something appear. When it's greater than 800, we'll make the mobile fellow disappear, we'll make the desktop one reappear. Okay, that's pretty much all there is to responsive design. You can obviously do better things, like when it's on, say for instance, when it's this way, right? You notice that all of the headings have now become much bigger. Okay, so you should go ahead and you should go ahead and implement that basically. So if it's um, your font size should be 64 pixel. I don't know, 64 is too much, I think. With 48. And then H2 also, the font size has to become much bigger, right? 42 pixels or something. So when it's on desktop, you want much bigger fonts. When you bring it back to mobile, the fonts can get smaller. Okay. And the only reason that you keep doing this is, yeah, so that, you know, your text is visible, it's legible, it's clear no matter where you, which device you view this on. Okay. So the nav bar, the first three sections, we pretty much, figured out how to do them. The other thing that we kind of probably would want to do is do this, right? Stay organized and never drop the ball. So again, how would you do that? You would make another section with these two guys. When it's on mobile, okay, by default it's hidden, but the minute you cross a certain threshold, this becomes visible, the mobile one becomes invisible, right? So you can obviously do that. This is much easier to do. Okay, so you'll notice that generally, how was it? It was just heading, this thing, and image, right? But when you scroll to the right, all you have to do is you have to make another grid over here. Okay, I'll show you how to do this at least. Take action from the inbox. Okay, just as sort of a repeat. Okay, so you have this take action here, right? So what you want to do is you want to make like a desktop version of this. Okay, and in the desktop version you just want to say that, you know what, this has to be desktop only. Okay, the problem with adding that class right away is you'll not see anything. Okay, so you can't really change anything. So do this. Okay, and you'll notice this is how it looks like. You have two repeated items. So then what you go ahead and do is you write the class for this. Okay, what do you want this to be like? um, so over here, this take action section, desktop, I want the display to be type grid. I want there to be two columns, right? So I would say something like grid template columns, one FR, one FR. And then what you want to do is, you want two columns, right? So just, put the heading and the paragraph in one column. Okay, you can call it content or whatever. Okay, and then the image is, by default it's in another column, right? So then you get something like this right out of the box. Obviously the image is different in the desktop version. Okay, so this is the image that you want. So you have this. Let's see, so this is my grid, and you can just say 50%, 50%, that's also fine. Okay, this image over here, we probably want to write like an overall style saying, hey man, maximum width of an image can only be 100%. Don't make it run away from here. So if you have this, then it becomes so simple. Instead of saying, say, 1FR, 1FR, you can just say 50%, 50%. Okay, and it will work. Okay, you could say something like column gap. You could add like a gap between the two columns. Okay, something like, say, 5% gap between the two, so that, when you resize, this is what it looks like, kind of what you have here. Again, all of the headings and the paragraphs go, they become left aligned, right? So you have to write your CSS accordingly. So you can either do this. It's a pretty painful way of doing it, um, or you can just say this. So I'm just saying any paragraph or any heading inside a section, just left align all of the text. In our case, it's going to look like this, right? And then finally, all you want to do here is you want to say, so this has to be mobile only, and this has to be desktop only. So again, on mobile, everything is the way you wrote it. Take action, avoid suspicious emails, etc. But the minute you go to a desktop view, okay, this is what your take action from the inbox thing looks like now. Okay, um, I hope that's exciting. That's interesting to note for you guys. You can add a little bit more margin or padding over here. That's fine. I mean, those are some small details that you kind of have to take care of. Oh yeah, Saishi, you can totally do inline block as well. Okay, you don't have to. Okay, so I think I didn't introduce grid. I just used it because that's kind of what I'm used to. Okay, let's see. You can do an inline block, but then inline block has to be on the column itself. Okay, inline block can't be on the parent. Okay, so you would do something like this then. So one second, let me just, yeah, you would do something like this. So, first column, the display has to be inline block. Okay. The other thing that you can do is actually you can just make it a flex box. Okay. Instead of inline block, you can just make it a flex sort of display. All right. And that will also work. So where's my take action from the inbox? This one, right? You can do like a display flex. And let's see. Okay, so let's have this, and let's say the first column, okay, will be with 50%. Okay, uh, then also it'll end up with, because the second one is your image, right? That also has to have, like, I don't know why 50% isn't working. Probably because they don't have enough space to. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, don't need any of this. This is going to just work. Okay. You probably want to specify that your column is going to take 50% of the width, and then the image is going to take the other 50% of the width. Yeah, you can totally like work like this. Okay, it's just a lot more CSS to write, and I don't know. In some cases, things like this grid just makes more sense to me. Okay, uh, but yeah, so when it becomes much smaller, um, did we did we remove something? Okay, I think I broke something. Not sure. Let's see. You have desktop only. Okay. So be very careful with the specificity. Okay. Um, like this mobile only, desktop only nonsense, right? Just write it at the very end, okay? Because you want them to override everything else. Now we pretty much have what we want. We have take action out of the inbox. Looks like this. Again, I don't know why this is 50%. you have to order your CSS correctly, okay, and then this kind of this just falls into. Hey guys, hope you enjoyed that video. We're one step closer to putting a beautiful web mini project on our resume. So I hope you're excited. I hope you're coding along with us. If you haven't signed up for the Edyst Webmaster Bootcamp, the link is in the description below. Go ahead, sign up. The code for this entire project is available over there. You'll also get to chat with me and my team of mentors when you sign up for a free module. So go ahead, sign up, come say hi on the chat. We'll be more than happy to help you with this project, or if you wanted to talk about web development in general, if you wanted some career advice. That being said, if you like the video, if you like the kind of videos that we're doing, if you like the kind of workshops that we conduct, don't forget to like this video, guys. Share it amongst your friends, spread the word, tell people about what we're doing. And finally, subscribe to our channel, click on the notifications icon as well so that you'll get notified every time we do another of these series of videos, every time a new video is released. Hope you've had fun today, guys. I'll see you all in the next video.